Hello, hello. Today's a very exciting day. Today is October 4th, 2021. It's a Monday, and Andrew Yang has officially announced a third party. He's calling it the Forward Party. And today, I announce I'm a member of the Forward Party. I renounce all allegiance to any other organization or party, and I announce my allegiance to the Forward Party. I'm going to spend the next 4 years campaigning for Andrew Yang and trying to make him become president in 2024 because I think it's the right thing to do. So anyone who knows me from the past, anybody who had any interaction with me between November 2019 and February 2020, anybody who even bumped into me, like literally any human being that I had more than one sentence of conversation with, anybody, I tried to get them to vote for Yang in 2020. I registered as a Democrat just so I could vote for Andrew Yang in 2020. I did my best to convince every single possible person to vote for Andrew Yang in 2020. To me, he was by far the best candidate that I have ever known or seen. I didn't even know what it felt like to support a presidential candidate until I discovered Andrew Yang. Where do I even start? First of all, he's a reasonable guy. He wasn't just on the red team or on the blue team. He was interested in just solving problems. He just legitimately was down to have conversations and talk. And he was open to interesting new solutions. He was very much pro-technology. He knew he could speak intelligently about social media and blockchain stuff, for example. Like he seemed like a very informed, educated guy. And I trusted him. I really did. I still trust him. He disappointed me a little bit, but I think that he was kind of consumed by the Democratic Party, unfortunately, and they just chewed him up and spit him out. I mean, I can't really blame him. I was sort of sad when February 11th was the day he dropped out of the Democratic primary race. And it's not his fault. He was running against the machine of the DNC. I believed he could win. I truly thought that there was a chance of him winning, but, it was a long shot. So when he dropped out, it was a very sad day, February 11th. But then he said he was supporting Biden. And I was like, all right, whatever. Kind of have to do that. And then he just started talking about, he got too deep into the blue team, I think. And to me, it was disappointing because I saw him as an independent voice that was free from all of the chains of those kinds of organizations. And today he has broken free of those chains. He has started the Forward Party, and I am really, really fucking excited. I don't know how else to say it. He stands for so many good things. First of all, forget universal basic income for a second, because that is something I could talk about for a year. I will make videos about that in the future. So I'm not going to talk about UBI right now. I'm only going to talk about Andrew Yang and the Forward Party. He stands for ranked choice voting. And I can't see any logical reason why anybody in this country would stand against ranked choice voting. The only people that would be for it are people that are just dedicated Republicans or dedicated Democrats. Like people that are like vote blue or die, or vote red or dead, blue or die. Those people are frustrating. I like to think that there is a very, very large section of the country, more than half of the country, that sits in the middle that would gladly vote for a third party if they thought a third party could win. And so what Yang's going to do is he's going to push the idea of ranked choice voting, and then we can have more than just the red team and the blue team. We can have 10 parties, you know, and we could actually have unique perspectives on things, and it wouldn't be like you have to just pick one evil or the other evil. Like this, we might finally get out of this dichotomy. We might finally defeat the duopoly that has been ruling this country since I've been alive, at least. I hate the duopoly. I hate the duopoly. I hate the fact that we're presented with two choices by this machine that just spits out this, like, what did South Park call it? Like a shit sandwich or a turd something? Like, you know, there's posters where it's like, do you want the meteor or do you want the you know, it's the choice between Hillary and Trump was a choice that nobody was happy to make. And I think the same thing went for Trump and Biden, you know? Well, okay, I can't really say that. There's a lot of true Trump supporters. But when it comes to Biden, I mean, I paid very, very close attention to the entire Democratic primary. From about November to the election, I had never been more engaged in politics in my life. And I have to tell you, back when there was like 7 to 10 candidates all running, Biden didn't have support. Like, there was nobody that went, yeah, I can't wait for Biden. Like, none of the Democrats were like, woo, I can't wait to get the old man in there. No, they all had other candidates they wanted. I met a bunch of Warren fans. There's tons of Bernie fans. You know, I met a lot of Yang Gang people, but that was like 1% of the country at most. A lot of people supported Buttigieg. Like, there was all those other candidates, and they all just got swallowed up by the machine of the DNC. And they just put Biden up there. And since we're only left with Biden or Trump, people just chose Biden. Ugh, I hate it. I hate the duopoly. And I love Andrew Yang and the Forward Party. I am so excited. I'm so excited. I'm one of the first members. I announce it here. I am one of the very first members of the Forward Party. I like to think I was one of the very first supporters of Andrew Yang. I mean, well, when exactly would I say that I started supporting him? It doesn't really matter. I became an internet meme one time. I wrote out this like little 4-paragraph tiny little essay that became sort of a... I posted it on a Facebook page for Super Smash Bros. It was a surreal day of my life. It was a wild day. I sort of posted this thing and it got copied and pasted and it became a meme. And, you know, for the following few months, I would be at Smash events and people would be like, hey, it's the Andrew Yang guy. And I'd be like, there's worse things to be known for, I guess. But, yeah, oh man. I'm just really excited. I'm excited for the Forward Party. I truly believe it could be the thing that saves our country. Truly. We need to get out of the dichotomy. We need reasonable discussion. We cannot survive without it. And Yang might really be the one. He might be like the leader of a brand new revolution, kind of, or a brand new form of reasonable politics where I don't want to go on about this too hard. I was very excited today because I woke up and I knew he was going to be announcing a third party. I knew about this before I started this channel. It was almost a month ago that the rumors came out in the Yang social media sphere. I still keep up to date with the Yang Gang. But, I wish I had my hat. Unfortunately, I left it at my parents' house before I drove over here to North Carolina, so I can't, I'll put it on for a different video. Yang Gang 2024, baby. It's gonna happen. President Yang. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna do my best. That's my plan. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't announced that he's running for president, but he will. I'm sure he will. Alright, what else do I have to say? his policies were so brilliant. He had a website of like 180 policies. They were all written down. He had specific plans for every issue. He had plans for education prices going up. He had plans for housing. He had plans for education. I said education. It was housing, healthcare, education. Those are the big three that a lot of people are very concerned about. He had an excellent plan for the coming conflict with China. I'm trying to remember. I used to have all of it in my head. I used to be able to just whip out the Yang policies like quick. His idea for democracy dollars was brilliant, or at least maybe not brilliant, but an exciting idea. He just was filled with new ideas, very exciting new ideas, and he would just talk about it like a human being. Like he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and just talked. He's the one that set the bar for that, by the way. Bernie went on after Yang went on. Other candidates only started doing these podcasts because of Yang. Yang has set the trend in so many different ways. He completely changed our entire political sphere. And the entire system was working against him the entire time he was campaigning. Check out yangmediablackout.com. I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but there was truly a conspiracy against Andrew Yang in the Democratic primary in 2020. There was a real conspiracy. He was the most threatening candidate. I believe that. And they were afraid of him on both sides. He's the only candidate that Trump did not tweet about. The only one. There was like 20 candidates. Trump tweeted and talked shit about every single one except for Andrew Yang. CNN, MSNBC, all these media networks would show all the candidates in a list and they would just forget Yang, like conveniently. And I think it's because everybody knew that he was actually a real threat. He truly was a real threat. He had the fastest growing campaign. I mean, depending on how you rank it, he technically got somewhere around 5th or 7th place in the Democratic primary. And for somebody whose name that nobody knew and who wasn't a politician, that's amazing. And he had by far the fastest growing campaign. If there was another few months leading up to the Iowa primary, he would have done much better. And just to get started on the Iowa primary, we don't know the results of the Iowa primary. I don't believe the results of the primary. It was a shit show. It was worse than... It was like a little preview of what the 2020 presidential election was going to look like. Like, I remember the day it was happening, February 3rd. I had 3 screens up with like 3 different Twitch channels and live feeds of different voting... The way they do the voting for the primary in Iowa is very unique. You kind of have to go look it up. I don't want to explain it. But it was chaotic and disorganized, and the votes weren't counted right away. We had to wait like a week before they were counted. Yang spent like a year and a half of his life walking around Iowa, talking to people. And this is where I sound the most like a conspiracy theorist out of anywhere that I'll ever talk about. Yang needed to get 15%. There was a crucial threshold of 15%, and I really think that they sabotaged him that day. I don't know what they did. They sabotaged him, because if he had gotten more than 15% in Iowa, there was 3 more upcoming elections. Like he had a very, to me, it was a plan that made sense on a way to build momentum and to actually have a real chance at winning the candidacy for the Democratic Party. And if he was the Democratic candidate, he would have annihilated Trump with his hands tied behind his back. No reasonable person can look at me in the eyes and tell me that Andrew Yang versus Donald Trump in a debate would have even been close. It would have been like watching... I mean... Look at what the debate was with Biden versus Trump. It was so hard to watch. Now imagine you replace Biden with Yang. I mean, it still would have been hard to watch, but it would have just like Yang had Trump supporters. He was pulling Trump supporters over to his side. Yang was collecting people from both sides. There's so many reasons he was the best candidate, and it was so obvious to me. So incredibly obvious. I mean, it's still obvious to me. I think that if you didn't support Yang, you were wrong. I just believe that. I know that means 99% of the U.S. is wrong, but I'm telling you that 99% of the US is wrong. You should have voted for Andrew Yang in 2020. You should have. We would be in a much better place right now. Right now. If Yang was president. Oh man, see, I get worked up about this. I tried my best, I really did. I really tried my best to get him to win. You know, I put a lot into it. Half of the reason that I got into this van project, this adventure van that I have yet to show off, was because I really wanted to go to Iowa and campaign for him. And now that I live here, I live closer to Iowa, 2024, I am going to Iowa. I am driving around, knocking on people's doors and being like, yo, you put your vote in for this guy. Do it. I mean, by then I won't have to. Hopefully. By then his name will be out there. By then he'll be the obvious candidate. People will have realized that UBI is smart no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. It's not socialism. It's not libertarianism. It's not a handout. It's a citizenship. It's a right of citizenship. It's part of being an American birthright, I think. And it's inevitable. With the coming automation wave, nobody's going to be able to have work. You don't have to have minimum wage laws. Okay. I think the thing I get the most heated about is the Andrew Yang candidacy. And he announced the Forward Party, so okay. What else do I have to say about Andrew Yang? I trust him. I trust Yang. When I was supporting him, I watched every single minute of content on YouTube that was available. I watched every single event he did, every interview, every speech. I watched every single one. I had the speech like memorized. He had a structure, the way he would go through it, you know. I could hear him talk and I could tell what word he was going to say next. I was like, yeah, I was a big Yang fan. I really was. The Yang Gang movement was one of the best things I've ever experienced or been a part of. It was the first time I was ever really engaged in politics. You know, it was so incredibly frustrating to talk to other people that were voting in the Democratic primary, and they tell me they're voting for Buttigieg or Warren, and I'm like, whatever. It's over now. He's in his own party now. I'm officially a member of the Forward Party. Today, October 4th, 2021. It's officially announced. Okay. Bye.